Right. Good morning, good afternoon, whichever way you want it. I know it's before lunch, but technically it's afternoon. So, and I'm also conscious I sit between you or stand between you and lunch. So, Mike Caiger, I'm a systems engineer with Zerto, which is now part of HPE. So I'm here to sort of discuss with you basically ransomware recovery with Zerto, what Zerto are doing, what the challenges we see from customers, and how we try and help customers resolve them. So rough agenda, what we see as the challenges, the Zerto architecture at a high level, and then some ransomware recovery scenarios where we've been able to use Zerto to help customers recover environments or recover services. So, top challenges for most customers, ransomware. It's got 265 billion by 2031. The estimate for 2021 was 65 billion. So it's something that's very, very relevant and has got massive board level visibility across most customers. And we probably all know customers or clients or even your own environments where you've experienced a cyber incident. And so that is clearly very much a focus. Now, from a Zerto point of view, we see that as being a disaster recovery scenario. It's just one of many. Planned and unplanned outages, 60% of organizations have had significant planned and unplanned outages, and more people are having to deliver a 24/7 service. So any of these issues, anything you can do to resolve those is great. And the third big thing is cloud complexity. It's everywhere, whether it's on-prem private cloud, whether it's hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. There's so many different bits and pieces going on within that cloud space. So Zerto is looking to try and provide a similar approach to managing within the cloud, between clouds, between on-prem and cloud. So it's very much another key focus from a customer point of view, and we look to try and help the customer manage that environment. If you just look at the costs, it's average $1.85 million is the cost of a ransomware recovery last year, and they reckon it took at least 21 days on average to fully recover, as in that's the end of your disruption. Obviously, some people are better, some people are worse. And then you've got the, I guess, less obvious things, which is people suffered some significant revenue loss, and then quite a lot of companies went out of business. About 25% of companies go out of business as a consequence of ransomware attacks. So I think the message that we're getting is it's not a matter of if, it's when, because the frequency of attacks are increasing, the complexity of the attacks are increasing, and so you have to prepare for the worst. You can do everything you can, but you've got to prepare for the worst. So there's not one solution to solve all the issues around cybersecurity and ransomware, and obviously there's been various sessions earlier in the day which talk about the whole front-end network piece and all the different things that you can be doing from that piece. So I think there's some sort of key pieces. Don't think you can't be penetrated, because everybody is getting attacked. Some people don't know they're being attacked and they're denying it. I used to work for a company and they said, your cybersecurity denial of service is, your prevention of denial of service attacks is great, but you don't know you're being attacked. And it's so you're keeping everybody out, but you're unaware that it's going on, because some of their clients basically got people to do attacks on them and see whether they knew that they were happening. Obviously, patching systems, keeping things up to date, antivirus, all that stuff, that is absolutely key and it's critical. And we see more and more patches come out from Microsoft or VMware or whomever to patch things within the infrastructure, that level of the infrastructure. The other thing is, it doesn't have to be an attack from outside. Actually, it could be one of your users, one of your admins that actually starts doing things. So you got the big phishing issue that people see. So yeah, educating your people not to just randomly click on emails and stuff like that. And plenty of companies, I know we do it now, we're part of HPE, they send out random emails which are pseudo phishing attacks and see who clicks on it and who doesn't and who reports it as phishing. So there's quite a lot of ways of doing that. Then we look at, how do you harden your data protection solutions to ensure that if an attack happens, you've got a recovery point. Another key thing is testing of recovery plans. People are reticent or have been reticent to test recovery plans because it's been quite disruptive, very time consuming, that type of thing. But there's more and more clients requiring by internal audit and by their end customers proof that they've done a disaster recovery test every 3 months or every 6 months. Otherwise, people stop doing business with other people. And I think you're never going to know everything you need to know yourself. So take advantage of the third-party expertise that is out there and use as much of it as you can to build the environment and make it as secure as possible. So if you look at where does data protection, where does Zerto fit within the whole cybersecurity sort of framework, it sits very much at what I would call the back end. It's the last resort. It's about tactical recovery, strategic recovery, providing an environment to remediate and do root cause analysis. Yeah, we're not there trying to do any protection in terms of firewalls on switches or any of that. There's plenty of people in that marketplace doing a very good job. We don't do currently any ransomware detection within any of the data that we back up. I know some other people do, but again, there's plenty of tools out there that allow you to do that. So we've tried to very much focus on when everything goes wrong, we've got a position to get you back up and running quickly and with as little data loss as possible. So yeah, from a Zerto point of view, it's about ransomware recovery, which I said earlier is another disaster. Yeah, people were always prepared for disasters, the supposed jumbo jet lands on your data center type of scenario, or flooding, denial of access to your property, power outage, that type of thing. Ransomware's just another version of that, but you never see it coming until it's too late. And then multi-cloud mobility, so about providing the same capability whether you're running in on-prem, hybrid cloud, or public cloud. So just run through at a high level the Zerto architecture and which underpins the data protection solution that we provide. So Zerto provides replication between one data center, maybe an on-prem data center, to another maybe on-prem data center, maybe a service provider. And additionally, we can provide protection out to public cloud. So you can go from one primary copy to 2 recovery copies. It's a near synchronous replication. So we reckon about an RPO of about 5 seconds, typically 5 to 8 seconds. So that's the amount of data that you lose. But by being near synchronous rather than fully synchronous, we're not impacting the production application. It's about block level replication of data from one site to a second site and even a third site. There's plenty of clients out there now who have to have key data in 3 different locations. They have a primary site, usually a secondary on-prem type site, and then they're looking at public cloud as that third location. It's just a requirement, especially within the financial services sector for some clients. The solution is hardware agnostic. Yeah, we may have been bought by HPE, but quite frankly, I don't care whether it's IBM tin, Dell tin, HP tin. From a storage or a compute point of view, it's irrelevant. It works the same regardless. And in that it provides you with greater flexibility in terms of mobility. You don't have to have exactly the same environment in both locations. You can use it to migrate, and therefore you're not trapped with a single vendor from a hardware point of view. So part of the Zerto solution is the way we replicate the data. So we use a journaling technology. We take a initial synchronization of your virtual environment, each VM that you protect, we take a copy of, we synchronize it to the second location or the third location, wherever, and then we journal all the changes at a block level. So we're literally taking a copy of every block that changes in the primary site for the protected virtual machines and replicating it to the other location. We put that into a journal, and then we timestamp that journal about every 5 seconds. So that builds us multiple recovery points 5 seconds apart. Now that journal can be anything from 1 hour in length to 30 days. So depending on the environment, depending on what you're protecting and how far you're likely to fail back with an application, you can adjust that journal size based on your requirements. So the advantage is, you get a disaster which hits at 10 o'clock. It might be a ransomware attack. It might be a DBA is doing something and he manages to drop a table on a database. It might be a user deletes a share on a SharePoint site. It might be an Exchange issue. You've got the ability to literally roll back through the journal and select the time point immediately before that issue happened and recover to that point in time. Because it's all running in production grade storage, the recovery is very, very, very fast. So you're talking about minutes to recover a bunch of servers. Even a whole site will only take a few minutes to fail over a whole site. Another key piece of the sort of technology that Zerto has deployed is what we call virtual protection groups, which provide this application-centric recovery. Rather than in a traditional backup environment, people say, right, I've got a backup window from 11 in the evening till 6 in the morning, and I just want to back up all my servers within that environment. As long as I get a successful backup from the backups software, everything's good. Now the problem with that is you end up with an environment whereby servers which are a multi-server application could have loads of different recovery points for the different servers. So what we've done is basically allow you to group all the app servers or all the servers of a given application into a virtual protection group. We then timestamp those at exactly the same point in time. You apply the same journal length to it, you apply the same RPO to it, and so when you recover it, it comes back and all these servers in a given application stack are recovered together. So you get an application, a crash consistent copy of your application back up and running. So the recovery time, again, is shortened massively by doing that type of scenario. So if we look at the topic of the day and the thing that's impacting most customers and taking a lot of time is ransomware. And there's so many different scenarios. So I've just pulled out 3 scenarios where Zerto can help with ransomware recovery within a virtual environment. So scenario 1 is all your VMs in your production environment get encrypted. So the red blobs are the change blocks of data being replicated to the DR site. And also we've got a local journal with this scenario as well. We also can spin off a copy to long-term retention, which sits out on immutable disk on an S3 target, something like Azure or Amazon or Scalar if it's an on-prem solution. So you've got your data protected immutably, potentially in the cloud, but certainly on an S3 type target, and you've got your data protected in your disaster recovery site. If on the left-hand side your production gets hit by ransomware and your servers are completely inaccessible, then we have the DR site to recover from. So we can fail over to the disaster recovery site and bring up the service there. Now, it utilizes live failover capability, which is all orchestrated and automated. So you are literally doing 3 clicks of a mouse to fail over. You're selecting the point you want to fail back to, you're selecting the servers or applications that you want to fail over, and then you literally go, and Zerto will build it all. It will attach the VMDKs to the VMs, present it on a network, and you're back up and running within minutes. And additionally, we have a feature, reverse replication, which allows you to say, right, keep track of all the changes that I've done while I'm running on my DR site, and when the production site is back and usable, just transfer those across so it's not a full resync. So second scenario gets a bit more grim, and both your production and your disaster recovery site is taken out. Now, in this scenario, it's probably only going to be financial services that are probably going to have 3 locations, and public cloud adds an extra level of protection because it's a different technology as well. So, in exactly the same way, you've got your write updates being written. We're taking a copy to immutable storage of the VMs, which cannot be altered. But then you get to a scenario whereby ransomware takes out both sides of your prod and your DR environment. Maybe it's a vCenter issue, and somebody's hacked the vCenter across both environments. Not unheard of. In that scenario, you can basically resume your service out of the public cloud. So again, we do automate all of that piece. So it's about saying, right, okay, let's bring up the virtual machines in the public cloud, present them out on a network, and you can resume business from that location. So again, it's utilizing a live failover capability. It's all orchestrated and automated. Again, it's the same 3 clicks of a mouse. You're just selecting a different target to recover from. And it's very, very easy then to fail back because we've got reverse protection capable. So as and when you resolve the issues with your vCenter environment, you can then replicate the data back. Then you got your doomsday scenario, as I like to call it. Everything just gets attacked. So you take a copy of your VMs, you push it out to immutable storage, you're replicating away across to your DR site and your public cloud site. And then, everything, for whatever reason, some massive great attack takes out everything you've got from what I'd call a near real-time recovery scenario. At that point in time, you have to rebuild a vCenter environment which is clean. We would install the Zerto software within that new clean vCenter environment. We then basically can recover the immutable copy from Azure, AWS, Scality, wherever you've stored that immutable copy, because the immutable copy is stored in a way that allows it to be recalled by a new Zerto environment. So that scenario is not going to be quick because you're pulling it back from potentially S3 type storage, and it's your last resort. And everybody talks about immutable copies. So we create an immutable copy, but it's got to be a pretty doomsday scenario before you actually need to fail back. From our experience, we've had customers who've had crypto locker attacks on a file server. They had Zerto running on some key applications, but not on the file server. It took them 10 hours to get the thing back. They then did a bit of after the horse was bolted and installed Zerto to protect that file server, and they got hit by a different crypto locker attack. It took them 10 seconds to get it back up. So it was very, very quick to recover. And you've got to have a place of last resort. You've got to have your immutable copy, but there's many, many more ways of recovering than going to that immutable copy by default. because by default that's probably going to be 12, 24 hours old, and that's a massive amount of data loss. So we're trying to provide as quick and an automated way of recovering your virtual environment as possible from any sort of attack. And ransomware, as I said, is another form of disaster recovery. It's just one you can't see, but it's one that's got massive amount of availability of attention and freed up quite a lot of money at the sort of risk management level within a lot of clients. We're seeing more and more people saying, yeah, it's coming out the risk mitigation bucket. It's not an IT spend. It's coming out at a much higher level. So that's all I had. Anybody questions or anything?
For anyone who has a question, I'm just going to come around with a microphone. You can speak into it so that we can record your voice for the recording after this.
Thanks. My name is Rob Bruce. I work for Skills Development Scotland, and I'm a non-tech person.
Yep.
So this question is very much based on ignorance, so apologies.
Fine.
Does the immutable assets, the immutable storage, does that ever get attacked, ever?
The only way your immutable copy, well, you can't attack the immutable copy. What could happen is a lot of the ransomware attacks are becoming dormant, so they don't activate immediately. It's a timestamp, or somebody comes in and does something, or there's a key which triggers it. So it could sit in your system for 90 days or 60 days before it gets activated. Now, in that type of scenario, what we would do from a Zerto point of view is we can bring up a test environment on a test network. We would roll the service back to before that attack occurred, so you could then cleanse that environment. Then you can restore it back to production running. So the immutable copy is immutable, but that doesn't mean that there couldn't be dormant ransomware within one of those copies. And that's some of the complexity of some of the ransomware attacks that are occurring now. They can have been sat there for 30, 60 days.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Adam Rayner from Nuvius. Don't know whether that's even working, but I'll talk into it anyway. What about in the case where someone's managed to hack into your system and have been sniffing around for a number of weeks and have already stolen data and then come in with the ransomware demand? Sure, you can I understand you can back it all up. But if they've already grabbed that data and are threatening to publish that on the dark web or whatever, sell it on the dark web, do you have anything that's kind of would help in that sort of scenario?
No, because we're sort of further down. We're about recovering it in the event that data gets encrypted. I get where you're coming from, and that's, to me, that is further up the chain. It's about detecting your cyber attacks, and it doesn't have to be on-site encryption. It could be somebody gets into your network and starts stealing your data. I mean, there was one client I've worked with who basically got attacked, and all they did was start deleting virtual machines. They didn't ask for any money. They were just caught going in. They managed to get from some. They had some poor practice in terms of hard-coded passwords in a couple of things. They got hold of that, and then they bounced through the environment, and they were deleting virtual machines on AWS, Azure, on their on-prem environment. And it took them ages, and then obviously you've got to go through and do a major cleanup of the environment. But they didn't ask for any money. They didn't encrypt anything. They were just having fun in their sort of mindset. But yeah, that is about detecting your attack and knowing when it's happening, and then putting a stop to it and having processes around that. So yeah, Zerto is not going to save you in that scenario.
You're further up the attack chain, essentially.
Yeah.
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 Okay, thanks.
Any more for any more? Or does everybody want lunch? Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thanks for your attention.